It was a nightmare.
It was a black mass.
Glowing eyes,
I heard a growling noise.
long, tall being of some sort.
I've been inside your home.
Shadows from the corner of my eyes.
What do you mean you've been inside my home?
Dark, like a shadow. Today we're basically talking about shadow people. A lot of people around the country, even the world, have their own versions, their own experiences when it comes to shadow people. In most cases, people claim to see and experience what they would describe as some type of long, tall being of some sort, basically all black, dark, like a shadow. A lot of times people claim to see this being or these beings wearing hats. In a lot of cases, not only do they see them wearing hats, they see them with glowing eyes, sometimes red eyes, yellow eyes. And there's a lot of theories out there about what it could be.
My husband and I, we usually recite the rosary before we go to bed. And he ended up falling asleep on me. And I heard a growling noise. I thought it was a possum or something. And when I looked over the side of the bed, I saw the shadow coming in from the window. And when I looked over to get a better look, it went underneath the bed. And instead of getting out of the bed, because I wasn't sure what it was, and I was afraid it might attack my feet when it saw him, so I leaned over and I said a noise so it can come out or move or something. And after that, I saw it run out to the bottom of the door, and it just went out that door at the bottom of the seam, the crack of the door. I was wondering, how did it fit under the door? So when we went to the living room and the next room, it got bigger and it went out the front door, through the door. It was a black mass. I couldn't really tell what it was, and it really freaked me out when it increased. It got bigger and it went out, and it was about the size of a person.
I kind of undergo sleep paralysis frequently. I understand that you're actually asleep and your eyes are closed, and you only believe that you're seeing your ceiling and your walls, the parameters of your room. And I always see shadows from the corner of my eyes when I'm in that paralysis. And this one time, the shadow got closer to me and he kind of towered over me, and I could hear weird breathing, and it was just a shadow figure. I got so scared. For the first time, I was able to lift my arms. I pushed through the gravity, I guess, and I was able to sit up, and then I got my legs over the edge of the bed, and I stood up, and this shadow stayed next to me and hovering around me. That's when I got extremely terrified. I had never experienced it that far.
My mom used to be, I believe it was like an assistant principal or principal of a halfway house. She had this one employee who every morning, just like her other employees, she would, greet with a handshake and say good morning. But there was this particular individual that every morning that you would walk up and shake his hand and say hello, he would never look her in the eye. So she was always curious about this. She asked him, you know what, sir, I noticed that every morning I tell you hi and I shake your hand, you don't look at me in the eye. Like, have I offended you? Have I disrespected you? And if so, please tell me. I don't want that. And very reluctantly, and scared, is what I would say, is that his response was, "I've been inside your home." She was shocked, to say the least. So she's like, "What do you mean? What do you mean you've been inside my home?" And he went on to describe in great detail our house. And she was just sitting there listening to this in shock, not knowing how to respond. And she's like, "Why are you telling me all this? How have you been inside my house? Did you break in? Were you robbing us? And I didn't know about this." And he's like, "No, I used to be the apprentice to a brujo, which in Mexican culture is a witch, a male witch doctor or warlock, if you will. You didn't see me, but I saw you. And this it goes back to that story that I remember my mom always telling me. One night she was sleeping in her bed. She couldn't sleep. She just felt something wrong. When she opened her eyes and looked towards her bedroom door, there in the frame stood a tall man, at least 6 feet tall, with a wide brim hat. She saw nothing but the figure, the blackness of it. She was paralyzed with fear, but she saw this thing, and it was just staring right at her. So obviously, my mom, being religious as she was, she closed her eyes and she started praying, and she did that for quite a while. And then when she finally opened her eyes, it was gone. To this day, we don't know the motive behind it or what we may have done, or just because they wished us ill will or what, we don't know.
I don't think it can be explained, although there are a lot of scientists and doctors who try to explain it, and it could get to a point where it feels scary and almost demonic, evil.
I really think that, they're here because something is left behind, or they feel there's something that they need to settle.
One thing we know is that we don't know.
I'm just glad I'm not alone.